Welcome to the Couples Expert Podcast with Stuart Fensterheim, LCSW, your source for the latest tips and practical down-to-earth advice on creating emotionally connected, thriving relationships. Now, here's Stuart.
Hi there, and this is Stuart Fensterheim, the Couples Expert, and today is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And I just wanted to sort of just really talk about the meaning that Thanksgiving has for me. Thanksgiving to me really is about acknowledging the people in your life that have really touched you over the years. And today we had a Thanksgiving meal at my home here in Scottsdale. And present were myself, my wife, my two children who I have not seen in a while because both of them go to Arizona State University. And as college kids, they live there at the dorm. And along with the two of them were my folks as well as my wife's parents. What makes that special is that all four of the parents are in their mid to late 80s. And one of the things we traditionally do at Thanksgiving is we do a toast to start the meal. I decided that I wanted to do that, particularly because it was in my home. And the toast that I gave, I was sort of proud of. It was one in which acknowledged all four of them being there and thinking about the people in my life and the people that I know whose parents are still around. Both, number one, that I really feel it's a blessing that my wife and I have all four of our parents here and that they are still alive. And not only are they living, but they are healthy and alive because we get to experience having celebrations such as Thanksgiving with them. And that is not a small thing. To be able to share those events with people who in your life are meaningful to you, I think is all about connections. And as we talk further through the next few podcasts that I'm going to be doing, as well as the podcasts that I've done, most of you probably are aware how important connections are to me. So I wanted to acknowledge both that professionally as well as personally, that they are meaningful to me, that I am not going to go a day without letting people know when they are important to me what I feel about it. Because those things, those acknowledgments, even though you may have difficult times with your parents or your children, being able to really stand above that and say, you matter to me. This also is true with our friends and family and every single person that you encounter in your life. You need to really make sure that they know that you will be acknowledging the small things, not just huge events like Thanksgiving, but going and having a cup of coffee with a friend and turning to them and saying, you know, you really matter to me, and that I want you to know that this cup of coffee, although a small thing, is huge because it gives my life meaning. When we can turn and tell people that, and they know that that is not something that most people do. Most people just let events like that go by. But I, as the couples expert and as Stuart Fensterheim, have made a choice many years ago that I will stand above that crowd and I will do something that most people don't do, which is let people know that they matter to me. And I'm not going to go another day in my life thinking and hoping and wishing I had said something. And even people who work for me. I did something that I was thinking a lot about, and I sent an email to my staff, the staff of the people who allow me to do this podcast, who edits the podcast, who helps me with some script writing, people who edit some of my blogging, that I do appreciate them, and that they make my world better with them in it. Now, how big of a thing is that? A quick email. But I'll tell you, it's meaningful. And people know that you've taken the time to let them know that they matter. And that just makes the whole world smile. So let me tell you what the rest of my Thanksgiving is going to be, and I'm going to be doing this little brief podcast in two segments. I want to talk a little bit more about the fact that we had an incredible Thanksgiving meal, that my wife made an incredible meal. We recently had purchased a new dining room table, so she got to show that off, and we had the meal, and we all walked away, obviously, a little bit more full than we wanted to be. I think there's a statistic out there somewhere that says the people at Thanksgiving gained 5 pounds. Well, I'm hoping that didn't happen because I'm still training for my half marathon. But we had a great time, and we walked away, and my wife and I had some champagne together, and quite honestly, had an incredible night, ended with us making love. And what makes a better Thanksgiving than that? Nothing. Being able to connect with my family, and then when everything is said and done and everything's cleaned up, to be able to really stand back and look at each other and say, we did good. We had a nice time. We let people know that they mattered, and we love each other. But there's a price to me for this. I have to tell you that right now. There's a price. There always is. Well, this morning at 5 a.m., I will be walking with my wife into Home Depot, and we will be spending some time together on Black Friday. That's a special day for her. She loves sales. She loves doing that. Who doesn't? And is it really that big of a deal that I get to go with her? No, I love it because we have a blast. We make fun of everything, and we talk, and we chat, and we buy some of our Christmas and Hanukkah presents because in our family we need to do both. So I'm going to report a little bit later on Black Friday to all of you, and you'll see what kind of time we have and what kind of laughing we do, and we'll share that with you. So I'm going to sign off for now, and we'll do part 2 in just a moment. But I wish you all, hope you had a nice Thanksgiving meal, and we'll talk to you on Friday for Black Friday. Hi there, and welcome back from my break. And boy, did we have an interesting time on Black Friday. Black Friday is definitely a unique experience. We showed up not at 5, but around 6 o'clock to a line that was close to about 10 people long, and I wasn't sure what was happening because I knew the store was open. But the line was for coffee and donuts. They were giving away coffee and donuts. Now, what's more fun than going there and picking out your best coffee and donuts? The problem, though, is, as some of you may be aware, that I'm trying to lose some weight, and it's not the best thing for me. And my wife is pretty picky in trying to aid me there. But this was one of those experiences that I was not going to want to do that. So what I did is I grabbed one that I knew was one of the bigger ones. And she was picking out the plants that she had come for, the poinsettias that they were selling for 99 cents. So I quickly went inside and enjoyed myself a nice, big, long donut. And when finished, got back, and the two of us. Now, what was even really more fun was she is very picky about her poinsettias. And they had boxes and boxes and boxes of poinsettias. There must have been 100 boxes. And there was a guy out there, so I'm assuming he's out there to protect the poinsettias that somebody doesn't come and whip them away and not pay for them. And he's giving me this eye, and I'm not sure why, because I'm standing there waiting for her. And then I realized why. My wife is opening the boxes and going through each plant because she has a particular kind of quality control that she wants for these plants. And we ended up walking away with about 15 of them. And it was really fun because he was looking at me, and the look that he was giving me was, boy, do I feel sorry for you. What he doesn't know, that I also get the good side of that, which is she is also someone that when you're loved by my wife, you're loved completely. And that's really the more important piece. And the thing that continued throughout the day was just the fun that we had, because after going and doing our Home Depot bit, we ended up going to Kohl's, which is a department store out here, because as a Catholic woman who attends church on a regular basis, every year they do a drive for the kids that are underprivileged. So she and I went through Kohl's picking out toys. And this year she has two kids, one that's 6 months old and one that's 7 years old. So we got to go through all the toys. And now that my kids are grown, I don't have to do that anymore. So it was even more fun. And one of the things of nostalgia that happened in going through the Kohl's toys, they had some of their normal, regular, ordinary toys, but they had a couple of really, really old ones. And I don't know how many of you remember Knock'em, Rock'em, Sock'em. It was two little hand-controlled boxers, and they had a ring, and you got the ring, and you got the boxers. And my brothers and I used to just play that for hours and hours and hours. And what happened is, as you push the button, the arms came up to sort of punch the other robot, not even a robot, it's more like a model, and knock his head off. And that was the end of the match. If you got the person's head to shoot off the body, which was still attached, you won. And it was so much fun. And I really wanted to buy it. It was $13. And clearly, financially, we have it. But my wife really said, do you really need this? How long are you going to play with this? And she was right, so I didn't buy it. But we really just laughed about that and some of the silly things that were on sale and some of the other things that were just outrageously expensive. And really, Black Friday for us doesn't last too long, not with some of the other things and the things you see in the news. So by the end of the morning, probably around 10 o'clock, we went home. And things just were wonderful between us. And quite vulnerably, we ended up making love that day. And it was just a wonderful experience and just really something that was very special. Now, what happened after that, the following day, was something really exciting for me. It was the first time that I got to run a 10K. And a 10K, for some of you who don't know, is about 6.2 miles. And what came up during the 10K that I would just want to end with is just this really incredible experience that I had. And I became really proud of myself. Because what happened, I am what my wife calls geographically challenged, which means directions and me don't do very well. So what happened is I was running this race, and I ended up crossing the finish line. I go, wait a minute, that's not 6 miles. And it wasn't, because they were doing a 5K and a 10K. And I crossed the finish line. Now, I had a choice to make at that moment. Do I just say, I ran a race, I'm good, I'm done? But I came out there to run 6 miles. So I ended up going backwards. And I'm passing all these people who are running the 5K and some of them trailing behind. And they're going, why is this crazy guy running backwards? And what I ended up doing is going through, this was a really, really hard race. And what made it so difficult, it was, number one, all uphill in a park, Papago Park. And there's rocks all over the place. There's pebbles. You're climbing very, very steep. And I have some bad knees. So that was somewhat an anxiety-provoking experience for me, because one year when I tried to run a race, I ended up pulling my knee out, and I wasn't able to do the race. And the last thing I wanted is to have that happen. So as we're starting this race, this was in the beginning before I got lost, I went up the hill and then down, but mostly it was up. And so I didn't want to do that again. So as I passed the finish line, I decided to go back because I wanted to make sure I ran that 6 miles. And I ended up getting a little lost, and my wife doesn't even know this. Hopefully she doesn't listen, because I'll get teased beyond anything I can think of for getting lost in Papago Park. And then I ended up going up this hill because I saw that there was a clearing. And as I climbed up, I was about to climb the wall, but on the other side of the wall was I-10, which is a major freeway here. And that was not where I was going because I know I would end up getting killed if I tried to sort of run back. But I didn't. The last thing I wanted to have to do is pick up the phone, call my wife, and say, honey, I'm lost. Can you find me? But the thing that I was so proud of is I didn't give up. And as I'm running, and as I got to about 4 or 5 miles, I really felt like giving up. I was in a lot of anguish and pain. My side was hurting. But because of my commitment to myself and, truthfully, the commitment to my wife, I was not going to let her down or myself down. And in spite of crossing that finish line, wanting to give up because of the physical stress, I plugged ahead. Now, I wasn't fast, but I crossed that finish line at 6 miles. And I really thought about all of you and my community of listeners. And I have to tell you, that was part of my motivation to get through that line so I can do what I'm doing right now, which is talking to all of you and telling you that we all have challenges like this. And a lot of you out there are runners, and a lot of you continue to improve whatever sport you're involved with, whatever skill you're doing. Apply that to your relationship. Know that the endurance and that drive that you have to get better, if you apply it to the loves in your life, no one will stop you having a relationship that isn't close and connected, where the two of you feel so loved. And this is really part of my mission, and truthfully a crusade that I'm on, to help all of you realize that you have it in you to be successful in your relationship. There may be times it feels like the cards are stacked against you. My getting lost was one of those cards were stacked against me. Am I going to find the finish line, the real finish line? And I wasn't going to give up. I would do what I needed to do to be able to then leave that race going, wow, I did it. But what's more important than our relationship? So if you could leave this race, the race that says we have these challenges and I sometimes want to give up on us, but I won't, because I know that the two of us together can do something awesome. And that's just have that one person in your life that loves you more than life itself. So I leave you with that message. I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode with your host, Stuart Fensterheim. You're one step closer to reigniting that fiery passion with your partner. For more information and your 30-minute free phone consultation with Stuart, visit www.thecouplesexpertscottsdale.com. We'll see you next time.